Hello and welcome to a recorded coaching session. I'm your coach for today, Suzanne Kohlberg, joined today by Karen, and who hasn't watched any of these before. Oh, I got so excited, I nearly ripped my earbuds out. If you're thinking of doing one of these, I don't mind if you've watched every single one or you've watched none. Coaching is about you as a person, not about like the whole thing. And sometimes when you watch them, you get a preconceived idea about what it is and you talk yourself out of it. So if you're feeling nervous or unsure or whatever, if you feel the call, fill the application form in. That's all I'm saying. Link will be in the description. I feel very profesh when I say that. Alrighty, Karen.
Did
Welcome
you
to my
just say
office.
if you're nervous, prepare less? Is that what you just said?
Yes, prepare less.
Okay.
I honestly think that's the secret for life because when I'm a recovered over preparer, I would prepare and prepare and prepare, and then I'd turn up on the day and something would happen that I had not prepared for. And A, I handled it anyway. And B, why did I waste all of that time preparing? That to say, if you're a neurosurgeon or a spinal surgeon, or you're doing something where you're actually, like could cause harm, please prepare, review the MRIs, make your plan or whatever. But if it's just kind of like coaching or something, I watched this reel yesterday. It made me laugh so much. He's like, I don't understand why so many dumb people are millionaires. And somebody commented, it was like, because they just try stuff. They don't overthink, over prepare, over analyze, whatever. They just keep trying. And if it doesn't work, they try something else. And I was like, anyway, I was highly entertained by that because how many of us never actually do? We spend our life preparing. That being said, Karen, welcome to my office. Would you like me to read out what you sent in to remind you? Because if you're anything like me, you would have forgotten what you said a couple of days ago. Or do you want to start fresh and tell me what's front of mind and what you want to work on today? I can go either way.
I will tell you the thing, and it's probably very similar to what I sent you.
Sweet, let's go.
Let's see how close it is.
Oh, I'm not going to compare. If you've got something fresh in mind, we'll ignore the notes. As I said, the less prepared we are, the better.
Um, so I do think this is basically what I sent in. I have a business. I think you knew that. I've had my business for about a year and probably 2 weeks, a month, I don't know, time is weird, ago. I felt this like I want to go a new direction with my business. That's not a super new direction, but I have new clarity on what it means to me and what it looks like for me. Um, I'm really excited and feeling called toward viewing coaching not as a way to solve a specific problem, but as like a way to engage with another person, with like a skilled professional in the hobby of introspection and self-exploration. And so naturally, I feel very excited about this and I'm doing nothing about it because it's very scary. Um,
I'm laughing with you. I get it. I feel, yes.
so I think partly it's scary because I have this like shining, beautiful, amazing castle on the hill vision of like exactly the beautiful thing that I want. I'm like, I can't get the right words. Like, I can't, it's not right. Nothing's right. And partly I'm struggling with this sense that, I mean, you've been in the coaching space. I assume you know that all of the coaching marketing is like, talk about the problem you solve and tell people exactly what the problem is and maybe how you solve it and how amazing their life is going to be afterwards. And I'm like, but I don't like, I want none of that. I like, I want to be marketing my coaching and engaging with my coaching in much the same way people buy like private dance lessons. People aren't like, man, I have this big problem in my life, so I'm going to buy private dance lessons from a dance instructor. They're like, you know what? Dancing's fun. And I would like to go do that. And I would like to be better at it because I think it would be more fun if I was better at it. So let's do that thing. And so I'm trying, like, I've been stuck and not really engaging well with my business for a week or two because I go to write emails and I'm like, what do I write? I'm really excited about this new thing, but I'm scared to talk about it. So I'm not going to talk about that. But also, like, nothing else feels interesting. And I don't want to talk about stuff that's not interesting. Like, that's boring for me and everybody else. And that's where I am. And it's your turn to say words.
I love this. I have so many questions, but the first thing I just want to bring attention to with the private dance lessons, you could market private dance lessons to a problem. Not saying, I loved your example. Dancing's fun. I want to do more of that. But you could be like, got a wedding coming up. Don't want to be embarrassed in front of your new bride. Have private dance lessons and blow her away being the next Patrick Swayze or whoever dances these days, because I'm in my 40s now. But do you know what I mean?
And
Like,
people do market wedding dance lessons.
yeah. Or you could be like, want to lose weight but tired of the gym or don't want to sweat next to the dude bros. Have dance lessons and have fun while you lose weight. And then weight could be the
I
problem in that
hate that
way.
so
I hate it
much.
too. But I'm just saying there is so many ways to market. And I love how you brought attention to traditionally the problem you solve. Let's push on the pain. You're overweight. You're uncoordinated. You don't want to look dumb in front of your family. You whatever. And I think it's skeezy. But the thing is, it
Yeah,
works. But you don't have to market in a skeezy
I
way.
don't like it.
No, as soon as I feel like you're trying to manipulate my pain points, it's. Do you know how many emails I get each week? I love your YouTube channel. It'd be better if it had better SEO. Or I was, how do they, sometimes they go, Dear Sir, Madam. I'm like, how much have you researched me if you don't even know I'm a chick? Like, and I was researching your thing. I could get you on the first page of Google. Do you even know if that's what I desire? And what bizarre category are you going to get me on the first page of Google in? All this to say, 100%, there's ways to market in the problem you solve, and there's ways to market in your new direction. But before we get to that, my curiosity is, so you said you've had your business for about a year. What has inspired this new direction? Like, are you feeling in a rut, or like, tell me a bit more about what's happening with this switch?
So I think a couple of things. I think recently I've had a couple of clients be like, thanks, you solved my problem. I'm gonna stop paying you now, which, like, lovely. I'm delighted that they have their problem solved. I'm delighted that they are like in a better place in their life. And also, A, I would like to keep making money, but B, that feels like loss of a relationship in a way that
Yes.
feels that I recognized wasn't feeling aligned with what I wanted to be doing and what I wanted to be building in a way that wasn't just the money.
Yes. Yes.
Like, hey, I am excited about working with you and exploring and like building something with you. And it just felt flat to me when I was like, oh, I guess it makes sense that this relationship is ending because the problem has ended. And because I recognized that shift in my emotions and like my reactions to that, um, I was like, okay, so clearly the thing I want to be doing isn't directly solving a problem. It's not that I have an issue with helping people solve problems. Like, that's gonna be a thing. But I recognize that it feels bigger than that to me and meaningful in different ways than that to me. And I
Perfect.
wanted to be in congruence with that desire and that vision in my marketing and
Yeah.
how I talk.
The reason I wanted to get at that is sometimes we change, well, we change for a whole host of reasons, but I wanted to get clearly at why you were changing. Because when you think about it, if we look at more traditional modes, my son's needs a tooth removed. So we're going to see an orthodontic surgeon to have his tooth removed. I don't want to see the orthodontic surgeon after that. Like, I had a skin cancer removed off my face last month. He did a great job. You can't even see. It's recovered so well. And I remember saying to him, thank you very much. I hope I never see you again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know I might need to come back, but hopefully I don't. But I know who I'll go to if I do. There's that kind of relationship. Then there's my chiropractor who I'm like every month, like at the moment this week, I'm like, it must be chiropractor week coming soon. I'm like, oh, it's tomorrow. Thank goodness. My back is telling me you need to see Tash. So, and you're like, I have this desire to have more of an ongoing connection with my clients. Not saying they need me because that's skeezy and hopeless, but like you said, building this together. That's the vision that you have. That's a whole different relationship than I'm going to pull your tooth or, remove a cancer and then hopefully never see you again. But, so you feel the desire. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next part, you said, introspection and self-exploration, not knocking those things. But my question with your audience, are you wanting to work with people in the coaching field, like who are going to recognize those terms, or like average person off the street?
So halfway in between. Um, I think that I'm happy to work with coaches. I don't want to exclusively work with coaches because, like, I think other people can use this also.
Perfect.
And I think that people who are really drawn to this and find it interesting and like, I think that there are people who have introspection, self-exploration, that kind of thing, essentially as a hobby. Like they do it for
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't think all of those people are coaches. I don't
No.
even think most of those people are coaches. I do think most of those people know the word introspection and know the word self-exploration. I might be wrong about that. And I think that the people who don't do this as a hobby, which is like no value judgment, totally legitimate, I think that's the group of people who's less likely to be thinking in those terms. And I think that's also a group of people who's less likely to be like, yeah, you know what I want to do? Have an ongoing relationship, like build a long-term coaching relationship with someone.
You are so clear on this. This is like, I know you said you're feeling stuck, and that's why we're doing this session, and it's all good. But sometimes when we're feeling stuck, we don't realize we have a lot more clarity. Like, first of all, I don't want to solve a problem or do pain point marketing. Win. Second of all, the people have an idea and they may be familiar with the terms, but once again, you can test it. So what are they actually looking for? Because somebody might be like, oh, dancing lessons, that sounds fun. Like, as in, they're looking for it. They're looking for a new hobby, or they're looking for the community, or they're looking for a structured time each week to dance because left to their own devices, they just never get around to it. So your people, what, well, maybe that's just me, but what are your people looking for?
I'm less clear on this part.
Okay, that's what
Um,
we're here.
I think that one of the things they might be looking for is community and connection. I know
Mm.
that I am one of these people, and I have felt really lonely in this hobby. Like, it's not socially acceptable when people are like, what do you do in your spare time? To be like, well, I journal and I talk to my coach and I do a lot of self exploration and want to get to know myself and others better and like build deep connections with other human beings, which involves building a deep connection with myself also. Like,
And the people who don't
that's
get it
not
go, so like, so you read books? So you're a book, because people try and put things into a box. Like, I've been a coach
right.
for nearly 8 years. Love my parents fiercely. My mum's passed recently. My dad's still with us. I wrote a book a couple of years back. My daughter, the author. The book is like this much part of my business. When's your next book coming out? And I'm like, I love you, Dad, if you're watching this, because he started watching my YouTubes recently. Shout out to you. But people try and frame things in a box. So, but I love how you're like, okay, they're familiar with the introspection and self-exploration. They're looking for community and connection. There are going to be people who are like, why would you pay for that? My sister, who I told you before we hit record, I'm going to the States with my sister shortly. She runs a scrapbooking and card making business. I'm not very crafty. Anyway, all this to say, sometimes she has these events where you bring your own stuff, like your cards, your stamps, your inks, and whatever, and you do your scrapbooking. I used to be like, why would you pay to do that? Like, you're bringing your own stuff. Like, why would you pay? Because at home, you don't do it. Your kids are like, mom, 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 mom. Or you're like, I get to it later, or you unpack it and whatever. So to pay $10 an hour or however much to be in a space where, yes, you've brought your own stuff, for the people who value it, and now years down the line, I get it. But when I was new into it, I was like, well, I'd just do that at home and save my $10 because, but, so there will be some people who look at this and go, or some marketers who go, no one's ever going to buy this. I'm not saying there won't be people who say that, but there'll be people who'll be like, this is
Right.
exactly what I'm looking for. Because I love introspection, self-exploration, journaling, but it's kind of like my hobby is actually buying more courses, but not doing them.
Oh man, relatable. So I think maybe it's a community thing. I
Yes.
think maybe it's a like I can do all of the journaling and introspection on my own that I want, and I only have the one perspective. And
Yes.
um I think that growth and exploration can really go a lot faster and go into new and different places when you introduce an external perspective, especially an external perspective that's like trained to ask good questions and like for a living, asks good questions. So I think there's a element of like, do it faster, better, more deeply, more like there is some additional value that can be added from having another person involved. I do think that maybe it's, hey, if I set aside an hour a week to do this, or even like if I go schedule the thing for 2 days from now, then I'm not going to be like, oh, but I could do that tomorrow. So I think there is a setting aside time element to it. And I think there's value in having someone else involved in the journey. I think there's just like a social thing and a being seen
Yes.
element. Like I can write in my journal all I want. And also there's something about talking to another human about it that touches a need to be seen and like maybe be understood and have another human brain be like, that's cool. How can we build on that? How can we explore it? Like the
Encouraging.
entire mood is different.
Yes. Okay, so taking some notes. The thing you said, do it faster, better, more deeply. We could decide individually that we're going to go and hike Everest. I don't know. Maybe we should pick something not quite that big, but we could go, I'm going to go hike a mountain, and we could be like, okay, I'm going to need a tent and a drink, and maybe I'm going to have to get like we could Google it. We could figure it out. 100%.
Yeah.
Or we could go, I'm going to go and hike a mountain. So I'm going to hire someone who's hiked the mountain before, so they can say, watch out for this pitfall and don't get those shoes and make sure you got to pack with like Band-Aid. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you're not saying this is the only way that people can have introspection, self-exploration. There are some people
Not
who
at
go and sit
all.
on a mountaintop. That's great. But this is for the people who see the value in having someone else involved, the social aspect, the being seen, the outside perspective, the questions, the being understood, the encouragement, because it's kind of lonely. I know left to my own devices, if I was going to hike a mountain, it sounds great. A couple of days into my planning, I'd be like, oh, once I started walking up the hill, have you seen Frozen?
I have.
You know where Anna's like trying to climb the mountain before they find the
Yes.
staircase, and she's like, am I there yet? And Kristoff's like, and she's like,
yeah.
that meme image clip could market this, because it's like,
right. Or like, I have decided I'm re-landscaping my yard, which is a whole different story. And first I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a class from OSU about like designing my own food forest, and I'm gonna learn all of the things, and then I'm gonna design my own landscape. And I got like a week into that class, and I was like, you know what? You know what I could do instead of taking this class and learning all of this by myself? I could hire someone to design my landscape. I could do that. And then I don't have to like, am I going to end up with a cool landscape either way? Probably. And also, like, I think I'm going to end up with a cool landscape way faster.
and
And
maybe
with,
potentially even cheaper. Like sometimes people go, why would I hire for that?
yes,
Like I said, my sister, why would people pay you to come sit here and craft? Because at the end of the day, they want to get their album done that's a gift to their kid or their mother or whatever, and left at home, they won't do it. And I'm just thinking your landscape thing. If I was to landscape my own garden, I would need to buy the gear, which I don't have. The landscape gardener would already have it. Then I'm buying gear that I only need for this one project. So then it's like, I'll sell it on Marketplace. That's a whole kettle of fish I don't even want to look at. But you need to buy, rent, hire the gear. Then I put it in and it's like, oh, I've cut it wrong. Oh, I need to go buy more gear. And then you need to put drainage in because I didn't think about that. Now I've flooded the neighbor's yard and now I have to pay for that. Do you know what I mean? So why would you hire? Because that's what they do.
right. Like, and I do think as coaches, there are questions that we've gotten used to asking and are like, hey, have you considered like maybe from this direction that can be really helpful? And which question exactly that is varies by situation and person and whatever.
Yes.
And maybe I don't even need to have been in your particular situation. And maybe like sometimes it's helpful if I haven't been because of the perspective thing.
Yes.
But there's just a lot that doing something with someone else can simplify.
I love this. So it's getting a lot clearer. I've got a couple more questions. Speaking of coaches and questions,
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you have questions? Is that a thing you do?
something I do. When I was a kid, I used to get yelled at for asking questions, and now it's what people pay me for. The irony's never lost.
Lovely.
With the business that you have right now, that you're like, I solve a problem, people are happy, they go on their merry way. While
You know.
you are creating this other thing, would you still be happy to do this because you have people established and paying you and understanding what this is? Or do you want to do like a full pivot?
So I'm super happy to continue working with the people that I'm currently working with. Um, I originally saw you on the like Success in Business Sistermind. And as talked about some in that Sistermind, maybe a year into someone's business, they don't have like 8 million clients. So I think we're talking about like 3 people. And I'm delighted to continue to work with those 3 people. But I don't feel like I'm in a position where I need to be like, oh man, I need to keep this marketing going and also do the other market. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just not in a
it's
position where the current thing is working well enough.
no, that's why I wanted to
But
ask,
it's
because the thing that you talked about was with community and people wanting to look for community. And I totally think you have grounds for a community. The issue that I see with launching a community early on, depending on how you structure it, is the fact that you need a community. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
it's
And I'm
kind of
not,
like, so maybe you could offer this in the beginning as a one-on-one service because you have a
yes,
community of one with them makes two and
yes,
coach them in
totally
this.
agree.
And then down the line, as you get experience and go, these are the common pitfalls, not so that you can problem market and that skeezy stuff, but so you can talk to, because I've run both. Like I coach single, I coach individually for 18 months. Then I run a group program for the last nearly 6 years, which I closed in May. So only 2 months ago. And now I've gone back to one-to-one. Because the thing with a community is so many questions come up. Do you have open enrollment or do you start and stop? I found starting as a cohort and stopping as a cohort, the community was built so much better because I had open cohort for a while. But then say you come along, Karen, and you're new to my space, you're like, oh, they're all kind of friends and here I am. So I found that people, when they came in, didn't stay because they felt there was a click. I couldn't find a way around that.
Oh,
So
interesting.
what I did instead was I ran it cohort based and we'd do 8 weeks. And then when people came in, even though they kind of got the feel, oh, that's Sharon, oh, that's Terry, they've been here for a while, because we started and stopped together, it made this gelling a lot more. But for me as a facilitator, as a coach, I then had to market and launch on one hand while running on the other hand. And I didn't yet have the audience size. Like people go, oh, Tony Robbins or Marie Forleo or Amy Porterfield. I'm like, yeah, who have a team of 200. I got a team of one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
I absolutely think that community is a later thing, but I think it's a
yes,
thing that's valuable. And I agree
100%.
with and love what you said about community of one. Like, this thing can feel so lonely
Yeah.
that even a person, another person can help a lot. And like, I think it's future Karen's problem to figure out how the community
Uh,
aspect works.
yes,
Like,
future Karen. I love how future Suze has so many things. But all this to say, once I hired a journaling coach who literally sat with me and fed me prompts, and then I journaled. And I was like, I can't believe I'm paying someone to literally sit there and stare at me. She then launched a community, which I personally didn't enjoy so much. And this is just me, everyone's different, because I just goofed off on the community calls. Like when it was one
oh,
on one,
interesting.
everyone's different. Some people thrived. But I was like, I actually prefer someone to give me targeted calls, questions to my problems. Like, love you all, but don't care what you've got going on. And then when they're all chatting amongst themselves, I was just like checking my email. This is me. I'm nothing if not honest. And when I gave her the feedback, I was like, I love that you're doing this. It just isn't a right fit. And she wasn't offering one-to-one anymore. She pivoted her business entirely to this. So sometimes you
Yeah.
way. But if you
And
do
I'm
this, sorry, go ahead.
I'm not sure that I would ever want to stop doing one-on-one entirely. Like I love working with people one-on-one. And also when I have the base for it, when I have the community for it, like when I feel confident that I can make it, when I have the skills to run a community, which I don't have yet, but like hey, people on the call who are watching 5 years from now, I'm sure I've learned them. Um, I think
100%.
it would be really valuable. Like, I imagine some point in the future where I'm like, look, I want to be able to provide that community of one to all of you. And I can't because it turns out I'm one person. So, like, at that point, how can I take that group of people that I've gathered that are all excited about this thing and all want that community? How can I support us in supporting each other in feeling connected and seen and like just having that space where this is celebrated?
You've totally got it, and you can totally do it. And as you said, future Karen's, I wouldn't even say problem, future Karen's challenge, future Karen's creation. But for today, like, for, what we're working on today, because what did you say at the beginning that you wanted? A new direction, like, so if you're
So
like,
the
okay,
thing that we're working on today is how do I convince myself to actually like start writing emails to these people, change my website so it talks about these concepts. Like, how do I get myself to, I mean, I keep doing this thing where I'm like, wait, but maybe it will fail. Like maybe I can't market like this. Maybe that just doesn't work because there's so much marketing stuff out there that's like, no, you have to do blah 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 blah. So I think the today challenge is how do I change my public facing words, content, marketing, I don't know, words,
yeah,
um, to honor this vision in a way that's maybe not perfect. Because did you know that when we do something in our business, it's usually not perfect the first time?
oh,
That's
first
another thing I've
dozen
heard.
times or 50 times or
Or the first
question,
forever times
the 4 minute mile. Do you remember what people used to say about that?
that it was impossible?
Did you ever read the things that they would say if somebody did it? Their lungs
No.
would explode. Like, Google it at some stage. What would happen? What was the talk of the day about the 4 minute mile? Their lungs would explode. They'd have an aneurysm. Like, it was physically impossible. When the first person ran the 4 minute mile, how it was very quickly that the second person did it. That's why I said to you in the email when I chatted to you before we came on, trailblazers don't have anyone to follow. And the people who tell you you have to market to a problem or you have to market to a pain point or you have to have SEO or you have to have this, why are they telling you these things, Karen?
I mean, most of them are telling me these things because they want to sell me their program where I pay them money to tell me how to do that thing.
Exactly. Because they're trying to sell you something. And it's like,
Because I
what?
have a problem that they could
Yes.
totally help me with.
And sometimes they don't even wait for you to come to them. They dive into your DMs or your emails going, I was researching you, sir, madam.
Very in-depth research.
Yes. Yes.
I
And
researched you
they
enough
they
to
give
know
you
that you have an email address.
they give you problems that you didn't even know you had. Like, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I didn't even know I needed to be on the first page of Google in a bizarre category or SEO or like this is the best one. Coach hat off, colleague hat on for a moment. In the last week, somebody joined my email list. This is the best skeeziest one I've ever got. To reply to my email to show me a screenshot of how it ended up in their junk, and they could help me increase my open rate by buying their thing. And I was thinking, how do you know what my open rate is, person? And then it got better. They just keep messaging me. I just ended up deleting it. But I wanted to respond with a screenshot of my 56% open rate average. Thank you very much. But then their last email was like, because they email me daily for last week. I think you must have been eaten by alligators, and I'm just like, you're trying to get a response. But like, does it work for some people? Must do. Or even better, my friend who's a psychic, I commented on one of her posts. Somebody
Oh.
replied to my comment saying, DM me for your reading. And I was like, A, I don't know you. And B, even if I did, I think soliciting business in someone else's comments is skeezy. So no. So all of this to
I'm
say,
gonna have to remember to tell people that I think they've been eaten by alligators.
well, I'm guessing it must work for some people. But all of this to say, how you talk about and honor your vision is knowing that it may not have been done before. But why do we always rely on things? Because so many people are going to tell you the way to do X is this way because that's the way that worked for them. And they've got tunnel
Yeah.
vision. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's the way it's going to work for you. I am extremely introverted and socially awkward. So some people who tell me I have to speak in public, like I have to go to in-person networkings and whatever, I'd rather die. Do you know what I mean? Like that would never work for me. But to them, that's the way that they built their business. So it's like, well, I do kind of like the idea, but I like doing it online so I can just shut the laptop and walk away when I'm done. Hence the System Mind Roundtable, which is how we
Yeah.
connected. So
Yeah.
people told me that was a dumb idea. Nobody would register for that. Why would they only want 10 minutes? Nobody will come to something that's no pitch. Nobody will present on something where they don't get to pitch. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't agree with that. So people are going to tell you all sorts of things, but you holding your
And it
vision,
seems like plenty of people came to Sister Mind.
240 registered for the last one. So, and given the current stats, that's a lot. And I was also amused if you're watching this because I spoke about vanity stats, but I do my stats. So anyway, I digress. But all this to say, how do you talk about this? How do you honor your vision? When you think about talking about it, what comes up for you?
Um, I think that when I think about talking about it, I feel a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of pressure to do it right. Um, I think earlier in the call, I said part of that is like, I have this vision and want to honor the vision, but like, I can get closer to the vision. That's probably fine. I think part of it is, oh my gosh, am I like ruining my business by doing
Oh,
this?
yes.
Right? Like, I mean, let's be clear, I'm still early enough in my business that I have a lot of room to experiment without ruining my business. Like, and also, there's a lot of fear around, oh my gosh, I have to take exactly the right steps in the right order to have a successful business. Like everybody talks about how many businesses fail. What if I try this, I am irreversibly like making it so no one will ever hire me and I can't ever have a functioning business, like that kind of thing. And I think also partly there's a lot of, I feel a lot of pressure because so many people are like, but do you think anyone will buy that? But like, is that going to be compelling to? No, you have to have a problem. I feel like if I don't get it right, if I don't make it work, I will be. There's this thing about I'm afraid I will prove them all right. I'm afraid that like if I do this thing wrong, then I am letting down all of the people who would really like this community because like I believe those people exist. I just am choosing to believe those people exist. And I have this fear that if I do it badly, it's going to turn into like it's going to reinforce a belief that it can't be done and that those people aren't like worthy of having this service or some nonsense. And so I feel a lot of pressure and obligation and also a lot of, but I don't know how to do it right. So clearly the right answer is to do nothing.
That's human nature, isn't it? So I know that you have an email list because I'm on it and your emails are fabulous. And I so enjoyed your landscape lawn mowing story of recent thing. Would it be possible, and you might be like, no, don't do that, but could you email your list and say, I'm looking at making some changes or a pivot, whatever your language is. I'd love to chat to some people about this. It will be free. And you could even give us your extra. I'm going to talk to you for about 30 minutes. And then as a thank you, I'll give you a 30-minute coaching session, whatever works well for you.
Sure.
And then you can ask them questions and float your idea because people always want to help. Like I emailed my list yesterday. I was like, I want to monetize my YouTube channel. Can some of you like watch a couple of my videos? Do you know responses? One person was like, I set it up. I hit the Note Coach 379 playlist. I pressed play and I watched you all night. And I was like, great, thanks. But do you know what I mean? Like, so if you said, like, I want to ask you some questions, I'm not selling you anything because I don't have anything to sell yet. I'm just doing some target market research, client research, audience research, whatever you want to call it, and ask them some, like, make yourself a template of things that you want to ask and see. And then you know what's funny when you do that? When I do those, because I do them from time to time, More often than not, that's where I find my clients. I never pitch to them. I never sell to them. I never whatever, but we get chatting, then they have their free session and they're like, I want more of this. And then they book in. So when people say, how do you find your one-to-one clients? And I'm like, avatar interviews, but then I don't do avatar interviews to find them. It's usually when I'm wanting to make a change. It's amazing because then they get to know the real Karen, not the Karen that they see on the website or the shiny picture or the Instagram story, but they get to chat to you.
Yeah. I mean, I could theoretically do that. So I have an email list.
Mm-hmm.
Great. The thing you don't know about my email list is that there are 40 people on it. And
You're gonna need maybe 5 for this.
30 of them are my friends, probably. So
Who do you know who would do this? Like, if you don't ask,
yeah,
the answer's always going to be no. But it's
I
amazing to
can
have
look
30
for.
friends. You're doing well.
I mean, for some value of friends, I have a whole separate thing about what does the word friends mean, but that's not this call. Um, so I could absolutely look through like who is in my life, who is in my world, who could I be like, hey, what would this look like? How would what words might resonate for you?
Yeah. Because you can just, so when I do them, the things I usually ask are, um, I give a call out in specificity. So you could say, what is a challenge for you right now when it comes to making time for introspection, self-reflection, journaling, whatever, pick 3 things. That question is brilliant because if you're not interested in introspection or it means nothing to you, you're not going to answer the call out because you're going to be like, hmm. So sometimes even on your call out, you can be like, oh, I'm not even making the mark here. So, I'm looking to interview 5 people. I'm looking to chat to 5, you say it there. And then once you get them onto the call and you're chatting to them about it, like what frustrates you about making time to do introspection or introspection for me is be like, I just don't make the time to do it. Like, why don't you make the time? Well, because suddenly things get in my way. Do you know what I mean? Like, but because the thing is, time, energy, money, people's always answer. I don't have time, I don't have money. It's like, no, what really is it about it? Like, even with for anyone watching, to come on this call, I ask you on a scale of 0 to 10 how much this is frustrating you. And Karen's like, I don't like 0 to 10 scales, which I appreciate. But the thing is, the reason I ask the question is people often think I'm looking for a 10 out of 10 answer, which I'm not, because if you were 10 out of 10 motivated to do this, we wouldn't need to coach. You would have done it already. So what we want to do is move the scale up slightly. So all this to say, like, there's ways that you could test this, chat to people about this, gauge like your temperature checking. That's going to help your brain not, oh, am I ruining my business, or what steps are the right order, or am I going to prove them right? Just to kind of like see, are people interested in this? What's
I'm
coming up
making
for
a
you?
skeptical face.
I know, I can see it.
um, I think that a little bit of what's coming up for me is I think that there are so many factors about do people answer a, hey, will you talk to me for 30 minutes about blah, 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 whatever. And I
Have you
don't
tested
know.
it?
I mean, I've tested it with other things, but not this thing. I have talked on one-on-one calls that have been set up for other reasons and been like, this is a thing I'm doing. And like about half the people are like, oh my gosh, yes, that's super compelling. Like, yes. And about half the people are like, what? But why? I don't, which is fine. Like, I think that I was watching your like your values-based brand thing video
Oh, with Lamora?
with, yeah, that one. Because you sent out an email yesterday and was like, watch my videos. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch some videos. um, so I was watching that and it was like, yeah, some people are going to be like, no, no, not that thing. But absolutely, when I say this, some people are like, yes, like that's really compelling. Um, I also think that I have this resistance to doing market research because it feels like I spent a bunch of time in tech.
Ooh.
And it feels like there's this thing that happens with data driven whatever and like market research where you sort of like piece together this weird like um
You're solving a problem.
among you're solving a problem. And when you were talking about what challenges do you have with, I'm like, you're talking about solving problems, Suzanne. Um and
But the
B,
thing is, you need. I'm gonna
it
I'm gonna interject here. You're wanting to get them onto the call so you can chat to them about what's happening for them. If you aren't clear when you're calling it out, so like I used to coach weight loss mindset. I didn't give a shit what people ate or how they exercised. What I was interested in was why were they eating when they're not hungry. But that was not SEOable. Find people weren't searching for that. They were so like I'll find while you were talking, I looked up. So here's one of my previous call outs for my old model. I'm currently researching my business model and conducting market research interviews with people who might be in my target market. Can you please help me? I'm looking for you if, and I always had 3 points. One, a female entrepreneur who's a mum. Two, struggle with your weight and have tried lots of diets in your time. Three, letting your weight get in the way of doing things you need to do in your business, such as getting photos done, doing Facebook Lives. Because what I really wanted to work with people on was it was never about the weight, but they weren't going to chat to me about that. Do you know what I mean? And then I said, I'm currently working in the mindset area. Really want to understand how I can better serve people in my target market. Absolutely love to interview. Process takes 30 minutes. We can do it on Zoom. I'm hoping to interview 5. In exchange, I'll give you a free 30-minute coaching session. I've done many variations. I've got years of these from when I first started out. First started out, struggled to fill those 5. Couple of years later, if I put something out like that, I had to close it because I had 18 in the first 30 minutes. Like if I sent something out to my newsletter list, I know I'd fill that in no time. But you're not asking, like you're interviewing or discussing with them so you can get what it is that they want. But if you were too vague and you don't have your 3 points or whatever, then you're suddenly going to have people treating you like a genie. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Karen, can I rub the lamp? And so it's kind of like, because in those conversations, you'll find out that they're craving community, what community means for them, what it means to actually sit down and do the thing. But, you'd be really clear. Like that version wasn't as clear, but most of them I'd say like, I'm honestly not selling you anything. It's nothing about my programs, but because the thing is, when you start these, people, especially if your list isn't that large yet, it's no judgment, you could say, could you
all the
share
lists
this?
start out small.
100%. Who do you know, or could you share this?
Yeah.
In those points, you want to know that, does it apply to me? Because you might read this and go, a female entrepreneur who's a mum. Well, I'm a dude, or I'm an entrepreneur, but I don't have any kids yet, or struggling with your weight, and have tried lots of diets. I really wanted to speak to people who were done with dieting. And who were letting them, like, one of the calls to my heart is people who don't do lives or who don't show up because they haven't got their branded photo. Like, nobody gives a shit. But to them, it's so important. Like, I need my headshots. So I need to make the money so that I can pay for the headshots. But then it doesn't look like me. And then your website looks all corporate and you speak to the person and you're like, so anyway, all that to say, like, if you don't have to do this, you don't have to do shit. But it's like how to chat to the people about what it is they want, not so you can skeezily Simpsons create it, but so you can see, is there an interest here? Because suddenly say you were going to I'm going to pivot my business to underwater basket weaving. Does anyone actually
Sure.
want to do that? Some people might. There could be a whole thing. Like I found a
Sure.
certification the other day. There's somebody who certifies people in yoni steaming. I was like, oh my goodness, people buy anything. Wouldn't be my
Right. And
jam, but
I think that's my other concern with the market research thing is I bet if I do the thing, I will find people who want it.
okay.
And if I let market research talk me out of trying the thing, like if I pivoted to underwater basket weaving tomorrow, I'm going to bet you that the people on my current list are not the people who want underwater basket weaving.
Chances are high, yes.
Even if there are a bunch of people who want underwater basket weaving, I think it's going to take time consistently talking about underwater basket weaving for the underwater basket weavers to come talk to me. So I guess I have this like, what order do I think I'm stuck
Yes.
in like a gridlock of I need to talk about the thing to find the people, but like also I'm scared to start talking about the thing because I'm not certain the people are there. I think the thing is I just need to do it. I just need to like do the thing.
I've seen it done in multiple ways. I've seen some people go, like, I remember there was this lady, she used to run a get comfortable on camera. That was her business. She had a course that you could turn the camera on and hit record. Then she pivoted to something like human design, like one of these more spiritual
Okay.
things. And she basically sent an email saying, this part of my business is closed, this part of my business is open. And the flooded people left her list because they weren't interested in human design, which, is fair enough. I've also seen people pivot as they go. I pivoted my business. So I did weight loss mindset coaching and now I do boundaries. And I took my people along the way with me. Some people dropped off. They're like, I don't give a shit about boundaries. Like, I don't have an issue saying no to people. Like, at the premise of my message, like, what I really believe is that people overeat because they overgive. They have an inability to say no. And then that's why they stay up late eating stuff. They don't need the next diet plan, program, trainer. They just need to be able to say no so they don't stay up late eating chips. Some people came with me, and then that opened up to people who overworked or overshopped, or Amazon Prime was their best friend because they overgave. Boundaries was the core of my message. Like, it will evolve. And then I don't know what I'm going to be doing 5 years from now. But
Yeah.
you could message your list and say, as upfront as you want to be, I'm thinking of pivoting my business. I'm curious about, or if you want to get real fancy, you can write to your list and say, hit reply and let me know what you think I do. Because that's always interesting. I never give people
Oh, that's a fun game.
I never give people a bio because it depends who I'm talking to. Like, my bio, if you watch my stuff, will shift from thing to thing to thing. But some people introduce me as Suzanne, the boundaries coach. Some people still introduce me as the weight loss coach. Some people introduce me as a podcaster. Now people introduce me as a YouTuber. Depends who I talk to.
Also an
So,
author. I heard that you're an
yeah, an
author.
author. If you ask my family, I'm an author. So, if you wrote to your list and said, look, I'm thinking about doing some changes, I'm really curious. Hit reply, let me know what you think I do. And
I
see.
like that question. Yeah. Huh.
Because think about anybody who's like famous or whatever. Like, there's someone recently, I'm trying to think of who it was, it's failed me. But my kids were like, this person does this. And I was like, oh, I knew them as a swimmer when I was a teenager, but they didn't even know they used to be an Olympian. I remember when I ended up going to a Catholic school, the priest had received a bronze medal at a thing. So he was an Olympian, but who
Huh.
are you according to who?
Yeah. Yeah. That seems like a really fun question.
And if you wanted to, you could put it on your social media as well, or, wherever. Like, what do you think I do?
Yeah. I'm
There's
really
ways
curious what the answer
into
to
this
that would be.
stuff that are so much easier. Like, rather than making it, like, everyone's going to say, make it about them, make it about them, make it about their problem, as you said. And this is the thing is, oh, but your business has also got to be about you, because otherwise, why did you leave a soul sucking job? I assume you had a job before you went into solo business that you didn't like to create another thing that you don't like.
Right. Like I want to be doing something that I like. And absolutely, I want to know how where the intersection is between how I can serve people and what I like. Like
Yes.
I don't want to be like, well, I like doing this and none of what you want matters because that's silly. Like that's not
Yes.
how we build connections.
Yes, but you also don't want to build it and they'll come. Like, Field of Dreams has got a lot to answer for, because sometimes you build it and then nobody's interested. Like, imagine if you went through a whole platform of underwater basket weaving to have nobody come in. You'd be like, oh, whoops.
Oh, well, hmm. Guess all that work for underwater basket weaving was okay. So, how long do I try this thing before I'm like, oh, it's not working?
That's a curious question. So you've been in business for a
In 5
year.
minutes.
Do you have a hard stop on the hour?
No, I don't.
Okay, I can go over a little bit too because I don't have a hard stop. So if we don't get it wrapped up in 5 minutes, but my question is, okay, so you've been at this for a year. And you got, you said 3 current clients, which is awesome for a year. How long did it take you to get your first client?
I don't know. Like, I think my first client was a friend that I was taking a class, and it started out as like, hey, can I coach you for practice for this class? And then it turned into, okay, the class is over. If you want to keep doing this, then like money.
Well done. So many people don't do that. They just keep coaching for free, for exposure, for practice. So, that's amazing. For me, it took over
So
6
like,
months of consistent offers, consistent posting until I had my first paid
okay,
client. So the fact that you're already a year and already have 3 is incredible. It
okay,
it may take long. It's how long a piece is a string type answer because you already have consistency and audience. So within did you say 40 or 60 people on your list?
40.
Within the
Two of them are
40,
me, so 38.
within the 38, there might be people who are like, oh my gosh, yes. And this more niche thing, even though it's not a problem, might be enough for them to come in. And to say, for example, of these 38 people, if 30 were like, oh, Karen, this is crap, I'm out, and left, but the 8 who stayed were then so in that they paid you, would you be willing to go through with it?
Yeah.
So many
I mean,
people
because
can't drop the
also,
vanity stat of how many are on their list. Like there's like, I can't deal with unsubscribes. I'm like, do you know how many unsubscribes I get? I don't care. I used to. I don't even look now. Some people write me giant diatribes about why they're leaving. It's not relevant.
cool. I mean, if those 30 people don't want to hear what I have to say, then like they should spend their time on things they do want to do.
That's exactly right. You're freeing them to pursue something that they do want to do.
I
So,
mean,
and my next question is, say one of the 30 people is like, Karen, I love that you're going in this new direction. It doesn't interest me. I'm interested in what you were doing before. Can I still pay you for that? What would you say?
so probably sure. And I think that the thing isn't that different. I think that I have a lot more clarity about what it is and a lot more clarity about what draws me to it. But like the thing I'm doing before is life and relationship coaching, maybe, probably for neurodivergent people or something, or like maybe people who want like out of the box relationships. I don't know. Like, I feel like my messaging's been really fuzzy. And then it got a little bit clearer with like, I build long term coaching relationships to help people navigate the twists and turns of their growth journey, blah, 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 whatever, which is not different than this, but I think this is another step along that clarification path.
You know what
Does
it
that make
sounds like
sense?
to me? It sounds like to me like you basically got a new pair of shoes. And to you, it's like, oh, these shoes, they are so much softer. They are so much more comfortable. I could walk so much further in these shoes. Like I feel like there's no place like home Dorothy. We can't even see your shoes, Karen. We see you from chest up. So to everyone else, you look the same. It's like those pictures. It's the same photo. But to you, because your feet feel comfortable and you feel supported and you're liking it, it feels totally different. It's like I don't wear makeup, but sometimes my friends change their lipstick and they're like, something's different about me. And I'm like, oh, I used to always wear beige and now I'm wearing purple. And I'm like, yay. Do you know what I mean?
Cool.
But
Yeah.
most of the people probably aren't going to notice.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. And like, I have all of this like internal drama about what if I redo my website about it and what if I like, but I think you're right that it's like the shoes. Like, yeah.
Before we wrap up, I told you I ran a program that used to be ongoing. People could come in and come out. It was membership. The modules were pre-recorded. Then when I changed it to start and stop together, I taught it live. It had been going as a membership for 2 years, and most of my people transitioned into the new thing. When I taught it live, and if anyone is watching it, love you all. This is not meant as a judgment, but not meant as a judgment, but sounds judgmental. But anyway, they were like, this new content is amazing. This is incredible. This is the best work you've ever done, Suzanne. Content was exactly the same. All the stuff I said in those videos, I'd said in the pre-recorded stuff. Nobody had watched them. But when I taught it in a different way, like I taught it live, let's all get together, and that style worked for people. Then they could ask questions and they could interact. Because the thing is, how many of us buy a membership and never watch any of the shit? Like, be honest. It's gathering digital dust on our down. We'll get to it one day, i.e. never. So, you making this shift to you is huge, and it is. But the way it's received and the people on the outside, they're not in our heads. They're going to be like, oh, Karen's got a new color. Or the thing they might notice is you got a new photo. You're like, my entire message has shifted. I like your new photo.
Right. And it does feel like a different message. Like, it feels like a consistent message.
Yes.
Like, but it feels like a big change to me because I'm like, I am focusing in this place that everybody tells me I can't. But it's not.
How does that
different.
feel? How does that feel? I'm doing something everyone's told me I can't.
I mean, it feels scary. I think that, like, 5 years from now, it'll feel great.
Of course.
Right? And right now, I'm like, but what if they're right?
Okay, imagine, one last thing before we wrap up. Imagine we were however many hundreds, thousands of years ago, timelines aren't my thing, and everyone was telling you the world's flat, Karen. If you keep walking, you're going to fall off the edge. And they're all there like, Earth's flat. You can't do that. You're going to fall off the edge and like plunge to your doom. And you're like, no, I think it's round. So you'd be like, you're like, these people are flat earthers saying you need to solve a problem and you need to market to pain. And you're like, actually, I think people just want someone to support them to, it's like they're going to sit there and go. And then when they don't see you anymore, say, yeah, Karen died. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
for them, it's like, oh, well, next person. So there is always going to be dissenting opinions. And I think sometimes we let that hold us back. But I like to think, well, they're never going to buy from you anyway. And not that they don't matter and they aren't whole and complete human beings as they are. Right. But the voice of dissent, like as long as you're not doing anything dangerous, like telling people to bungee jump with vines or something, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by this tweak.
Yeah. I don't feel like this is a bungee jump with vines situation.
Nope. So you're going to email the list? Actually, oh no. No, I'll check up on you. You do you. But I'm on your list, so I'll see. It'd be so curious to see and ask people, what do you think that I do? Because it's really interesting. As I said, an author, a YouTuber, a podcaster, a person who turns up in my inbox way too much. Okay, unsubscribe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I wonder what would happen if I was like, what do you think I do? And what do you wish I did more of?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'm very curious about those two answers. Are you going to reply if I send that email?
100%. I love your onboarding email. It's one of the best I've seen, where you're basically like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Such clear boundaries. And I think more of that in the world is to call for, because the way you were like, these are the responses I like, this is what I don't like. People need more of that, as opposed to, well, I'll just kind of take and hope and wonder. It's like, oh, so then you question before you respond. Is this a criticism? Because, sometimes you create something and you're really excited. Like when I launched my podcast, you only came across me recently, but I sent it out and I was like, I don't want spelling mistakes. I don't want, you don't like the title. I just want, this is awesome. Go you. I was very clear with what I wanted and people responded. So if you're like, what it is that you think I do, what do you wish I did more of? That'd be fascinating. And,
yeah.
Okay.
That would be really cool. Okay. I want to ask that.
What's your biggest takeaway from this session, Karen?
I think that one of my big takeaways is that this change is like a pair of shoes. Like, nobody else cares. Nobody cares. Like, I care. I care a lot. And also, nobody cares. And I think I'm really excited about just periodically, actually, emailing out and being like, what do you think I do? What do you wish I did more of? Like, actually, maybe I should just set up a thing that emails everyone on my list every 9 months.
That's a great idea.
7 months, 11 months with that email, and be upfront and be like, hey, this is a thing I do every however many months I decide.
And that
It's
gives you
that time again.
ideas. When they say what you do more of, you can sift through that. And they might be like, I wish that you taught us how to divine the lotto numbers. Okay, toss. Or I wish that you did this. Actually, I could do that and it feels good to me. In.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if I can set up ConvertKit to like
You
send
probably
that
could,
email
I
to
reckon.
everybody every 10 months. I need to figure out a number of months.
I
But
love it.
I think I should write that email and send it.
Please do. Thank you,
I'm
Karen.
excited
My
to see
work
what you
here is
say.
done. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll
Thank you,
catch you on the
Suzanne.
next one. Bye for now.